Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley. Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds podcast. This is episode 115, entitled The Client is Always Right. We Just Need Anger Management. It was published on Thursday, the 14th of February, 2019. My name's Nathan Wrigley from pictureandword.co.uk, a small web development agency based in the north of England, and I'll be joined a little bit later by David Wormsley from davidwormsley.com so that we can have a chat about clients being right or not, and whether we just need to calm down a little bit more. Before we begin the podcast, though, just a couple of things. If I could get you to go over and do a whole bunch of things on the wpbuilds.com website, that would be great. If you go to wpbuilds.com/subscribe, we'd love to have you on our mailing list. You can fill out your name and email address, and we'll let you know when the podcast episode comes out on a Thursday, and also when our little weekly WordPress news comes out on a Monday. You can also join the YouTube channel and the Slack channel, and we post all of our content there as well. We've got a thriving Facebook group, about 1,900 members now, talking about all things WordPress. It's really good in there, very polite and very calming. And also, if you want to, on that page, you can sign up for our updates on Facebook Messenger. If you go to the wpbuilds.com deals page, that's wpbuilds.com/deals, we've got a whole bunch of stuff on there. 20%, 25% off, things like Project Huddle, Groundhog, If So, WP Ultimo, Beaver Team Pro, Main WP, Blog Vault Malcare Toolset, WP Security Audit Log, and widget options. A whole bunch of stuff. You can get yourself some money off, and why not? There's no strings attached. You just go to the website and get some cash off if you're thinking of buying them. We've got a few webinars coming up. I'd really appreciate it if you want to come onto these. Join us live. We've got Oliver Sild from WebArcs, the security plugin. That's on Thursday, the 21st of February. We've got Chris Badgett from Lifter LMS, a learning management solution plugin for WordPress. That's on the 28th of February. And we've also got Adrian Toby on the 21st of March talking about Groundhog, which is a WordPress plugin. It's a marketing and CRM automation tool. So please come and join us on those webinars, sign up for them, and we'll keep you up to date about those particular plugins. They're always quite interesting and fun to do, and hopefully you get something out of it as well. /advertise if you'd like to come on the podcast and advertise, if you'd like to tell the audience about your product or service, whatever it may be. We've got banner ads and audio inserts, and it really does help us keep our lights on. So very much appreciated to anybody who does actually sponsor us. I really do appreciate it. And also /contribute. If you've got something that you're proud of, something that you did recently, you'd like to tell us about it, go to wpbuilds.com/contribute and let us know. And you can come on the podcast, join me for 15 or 20 minutes. We'll record our screens and show everybody what you've done. I think we've got 8 of them there now. The latest one is Tom Carlos from Beaver Team Pro showing off his new A/B testing plugin, which is really rather cool. You should probably go and check that out. Also, last thing from me, if you wouldn't mind going onto iTunes, I'm very much appreciated if iTunes reviews are placed for the WP Builds podcast. I think iTunes is the giant of podcasting. If you listen on iTunes, you're with just about everybody else. There's a few little apps which also get listened to, but iTunes reviews are really, really helpful. So if you do get any value out of the WP Builds podcast, giving us an iTunes review is really, really welcome. Thank you so much to those who have already done so. The WP Builds podcast is brought to you today by Project Huddle. Are you still using email for client feedback? Well, there's a better way. With Project Huddle, client feedback has never been easier. Point, click, and type interactive comments right on top of any website. For 20% off, visit projecthuddle.io/WP And the Page Builder Framework. Do you use a page builder to create your websites? The Page Builder framework is a mobile responsive and lightning fast WordPress theme that works with Beaver Builder, Elementor, Breezy, and other page builders. With its endless customization options in the WordPress customizer, it's the perfect fit for you or your agency. Go to wp-pagebuilderframework.com today. And WP Ultimo. Could you imagine having your own profitable network of WordPress websites that can be 100% set up and configured by your clients? Make it a reality with WP Ultimo. Payments, plans, limits, templates customization is all taken care of. Just download the plugin, configure the options, and you're ready to go. Visit wpultimo.com today and find out more. And we sincerely thank our podcast sponsors for helping us at WP Builds. Okay, let's get to the main event, the podcast with David and I. This is all about clients and whether they're always right, whether we get angry with them. Do we need to calm down? Do we need to be a little bit more introspective, a little bit more understanding, empathetic, and so on and so forth? It's really an interesting chat, and I really hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us.
Today, Nathan and I are talking about whether the client is always right and that we just need anger management. So I nearly got very angry with a client the other day, Nathan. We were just talking about this before. I hit upon something new to me. I'll just explain it. We have this system that charges cards for our care plan. And this is the first time that somebody has gone and cancelled it via their bank, which then means that we get told that we've taken the money fraudulently. Do we wish to dispute this claim or not? And, it's not that the client just didn't know what it was about and they cancelled it in haste and didn't mean to do that. But it could have, I was starting to get so angry about it.
What was it that brought the anger on then? Was it simply the fact that the procedure is such that you have to admit to being fraudulent?
Yes, exactly. My option was it comes in and it says, yes, the bank, so Stripe in this case, tells me that we've got something to resolve and that they've already paid the bank back the full money and that I'm going to be charged £15 for the dispute and I have to provide my evidence. So I click on two buttons, basically, one that says, because it's classed as fraudulent, this one. So one is effectively saying, yes, I accept we took the payment fraudulently, or the other one, which is, I dispute this claim and provide the evidence. And because that was such a tricky thing to do, I'm sure people who are used to this would have no issue with it at all, just say, yeah. And in fact, I will, again, say something good about Stripe. Their documentation is fabulously calming. Because when you link to what that is, it says that, this is the majority of things that happen. People forget what their subscriptions are for and they cancel in haste, because they don't know what it's about. They think something's happening. And that is effectively, I think, what happened in this case. But yeah, so easy for me I started getting so angry.
So in this case, they had signed up to your care plan. They had used a card. Then at some point down the road, they had misremembered that and forgotten that they'd used that card. So they'd, within their banking app or, online, they'd declined to pay this anymore, which then set up this problem for you. You had to deal with it. There's no way of reconciling that from the moment that process starts. You have to go through this mediation admitting fraud, do you? There's no way of sort of saying, oh, no, it was all a mistake. Let's just rewind the clock.
Yeah, apparently, if they do, and they say they later correspondence with the with the customer, they said that they did try to revert that once they realised who the payment was for, but the bank said they will continue with it anyway. And the Stripe documentation indicates that it can take quite a number of days. I think something like 50 something days for this kind of to resolve. Even if the customer says, no, it's my mistake, pay them, it's still going to go through that process all of that time. So when that goes through that dispute process, where do you leave the client if you did this? I mean, at the end of the day, they're effectively trying to pay you, but they haven't paid you yet. Do you continue to provide the service to them? So that's not really an option other than to say it was our mistake.
So why did you find yourself becoming angry? What about this in particular caused you to I presume you didn't, get angry at the client themselves, but presumably the process was annoying you. Why did you? Why the anger in this case?
Oh, I think I'm going to lie back on the sofa now. This is like a session.
Tell me about your father.
Well, no, I mean, they sent me an email before, which was fairly curt, which was,
right.
a personal. This is, we didn't get any notification about this. And of course, we had sent something and it appeared to have been sent to them, notifying them. And this is our personal card. And we think, well, we didn't choose to use a personal card rather than a business one. And they wanted a different payment method. And it was really curt. But they were, honestly, I can understand it. But I guess the point is the client's always right is my bit of a mantra at the moment, because I feel us in our industry have got a little bit too boisterous about clients, because we get annoyed with them. Mm-hmm. And I'm going the other way. But I just found in this situation, I could have easily turned around and go, oh, I'm turning your site off. Go away.
Yes, you could have done. And it was very impressive that you didn't in many ways. I think the curtness of the email is something that I can respond to. And also in this particular case, you were absolutely certain that they were wrong. And obviously, as it turned out, that you were right, they were wrong. And presumably now all those aspects have been healed and you've got them back where they need to be with a new card and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you've had to swallow a charge, no matter how small it is, £15 in this case. But you've had to admit fraud, which you didn't commit. You've had to swallow all this stuff, do a load of extra work to get them back on, and all for the sake of the fact that the client got something wrong. And for me, I think that's the things that flare my anger a little bit, is when I know the client is just simply wrong. And that might be in the case of payments, although I don't have a great deal of experience with that. But also it might be, they said they've sent this thing through to me and you absolutely didn't. You did not send that to me, and you're simply doing it, presumably, to save face. I don't know. Maybe you've CC'd your boss into it so that you've got like a little paper trail to say, I didn't do it. Those kind of things can make me upset. And also the curtness of the email. Bizarre. I don't really understand why that frustrates me as much as it does. But if I get a really, what's the word? When you use language which is assertive, let's say that. And basically it's just telling me a load of things I've got to do right now and get on with it. And it's very short and there's no please and there's no thank you. That stuff gets to me.
Yes, absolutely. I'm for the client is always right. I had to talk my way out of this. And do you know what? I used to be a terrible keyboard warrior at work. When I first really started working, and email was our main communication, and we, copied everybody in who was in our ranks and everything. I was terrible for being that person who, as soon as it came in, I behaved emotionally to it, and I would spend, that's it. I'm not knocking off work. I'm going through the evening. I'm writing my bit because this person is so wrong. And I'm going to share that with all of my colleagues and shame them. And I was terrible at that. And God knows how I got away with it. I mean, I was invited. I don't know if they tried to keep me as their enemy close, because I got invited to more meetings than anybody else on decision-making process. But I actually think when I look back on it, I think what an idiot I was all the time, because I used to respond emotionally to everything.
Don't you think that's the thing that comes with age, though? I think the older you get, the more you realise these battles are very often not worth fighting. I don't have a rule of how to deal with snotty emails, but one thing that I have noticed works quite well for me is if let's say I get that email at 11 in the morning and it's angered me and I'm a bit frustrated and ticked off and I can sense that it's annoying me. My technique that I try to deploy more often than not is just to leave it for at least one evening. So pick it up again the next day. Don't respond in anger, because usually, and I've actually caught myself writing the email, the sort of the email, I suppose, which is exonerating me and explaining all of their faults. Kind of discovered myself writing that email and then binned it. I've done that quite a few times, binned the email and thought, right, no, come back tomorrow. And I don't know what it is about time, but time really does heal a lot of those things. And I'm able to come back to it the next day and write the email that I probably should have written. And
Yes.
very often, I think the reason that these people write these emails, which seem to irritate me, and curtness and lack of manners, I suppose, are the two triggers for me, is just time. Usually it's the amount
Yes.
of time and the pressure that they're under. So they're banging out these emails quickly because they've only got 2 minutes. And I failed to realise that. I've got, all the time in the world to reply, seemingly. They've probably got 1 minute, and so they don't treat me in the way that I'm expecting to be treated. And give it a moment, right back, and usually I've that little process of writing something back which is calmer the next day works wonders.
Yeah, and I found that with this one, logically, I could present this and I was completely right and they're wrong. But there's another angle to this, which you forget to see when you're slightly put out. And you always sort of build up your own case all the time, which I'm sure they do on the other side, why they're right. And, what I'm forgetting, and I didn't need that much time to reply back nicely on this, but what I did forget was their perspective. They were somebody who didn't come in through the usual route where they get 1 month free with us. We did the build together where I talked to them. They were one of my colleagues' people coming in halfway through. Okay. They didn't have the exposure to our brand, so it's more likely they didn't understand what that payment was, and they didn't have the preamble that normally goes with it. So it was interesting for me. So do you think what happens with that time is that it becomes less personal, so you're able to see a bigger view? Do you end up seeing the other person's viewpoint more for the time?
I don't know if I do. It's more that I just calm down and write the measured, thoughtful thing that I should have written. I don't know what it is about people, but I think everybody's got that in them, haven't they? The capacity to react, fight and flight, and all of that. I remember the great Pericles from ancient Greece was all. What a bizarre thing to have just said, but there you go.
He always, he really does remember it.
Yeah, he always said that basically if somebody slighted you, you should fight back immediately, because that reaction of yours is the true reaction, the reaction that needs to be obeyed. And I don't agree with that. I think the reaction. Yeah, sure enough, if you've got a strong arm and a big sword and you're likely to win, that's fine. But in this case, there's nothing to be gained from irritating my client unless the ship has sailed and it's irreparable. You're on the verge of sacking each other, as it were. I can't see the point. There's, if you want an ongoing relationship with these people, and if they contribute to your bottom line and paying your bills, then yes. I suppose that the funny thing in here, though, is where is the line where the customer or the client is always right and when they're just completely wrong? As an example, I had a client and I stopped working with them years ago because I found them utterly unmanageable. They were very, very curt. Every email was curt. Everything that they said was an instruction. Everything was imperative. Everything had to be done immediately. And I simply had to write back politely on a number of occasions and say, I am not an employee. I work for you on the basis that you'll pay me after the fact, but you can't ask me to do this thing for you by tomorrow when you've only just decided yourself it needs doing. And in the end, I had a wonderful get out, which was moving to WordPress, because I stopped using, in this case, it was a Magento website. So I had the perfect excuse to say, I'm no longer working with Magento. Sorry about that. You'll have to find somebody else, which was great. It was a real relief for me. But it's very difficult to know when do I say enough is enough? When do I write the email? Look, do you realise the way that you're speaking? And I've never really got around to being quite as inflammatory as that, but on a few occasions I wrote back and did explain I can't be treated as an employee because I'm not an employee. If you want to pay me an employee's salary, then I'll do what you say. But until that point, you've got to understand that you might write me an email and I might not even read it for 3 days. So don't write the follow-up and the other follow-up and the next follow-up email saying, why hasn't this been done? And that's literally what I would get, is a one-liner saying, why haven't you done this? That was it. And you'd read it and think, oh dear. Oh.
I think I'm probably still quite wet behind the ears. Is that an expression that's
Yes,
global?
yeah. Well, I don't know. It means you're naive.
Yeah, I think so because I had this buffer. Anybody who listens to this of my colleague who's been dealing mostly with the clients. I mean, I've had a lot of client contact and been in most of the conversations, but a lot of it is quite new. All the recent ones are new. So I just wonder, yeah, your experience might be much better than mine, but I'm such an optimist. I still want to argue because I think we need it in these times. I think we need to keep that focus on the client is always right and see if we can always prove that mantra to be right, and then work out what our exceptions are.
Yeah, I would say it's a really laudable thing to aim for, the client always being right. I think if you treat every transaction with that in the back of your mind, then you can't go far wrong. But I would say that experience has taught me that that's not true. Sometimes they are demonstratively, is that a word? Yeah, demonstratively wrong. They did not send an email. They did not pay an invoice. They did not do this and they did not do that. And I have a client right now. Today, I sent them an email because they're still owing me from months ago, months and months of invoices. 2, I think, invoices have built up, and it's not a considerable amount of money, but it hasn't been paid. And so they're wrong. They're wrong in that regard. And, if it was the other way around, I'd like to think that I would pay that bill because I'd received that work and done the thing. So they're not always right. But it is very hard in the current climate. This is the thing that we've been taught. You go in any kind of commercial transaction, the person requesting the service is the one who gets to call the shots. And I'm not so sure that that's always the correct way, because sometimes the client needs to be told, look, you haven't paid me, or no, that's a really bad decision. Putting the logo at the bottom of the website in Blink, using CSS Blink. No, we don't do that.
Did you see there was a fabulous little post about payment? We're going off the topic really here, but from our mortal enemy Lee Jackson's Facebook group, there was somebody posted. Yes. WP Innovation. What is that? Innovator.
The WP Innovator. Yeah.
Actually, no one can find him anyway. Is it? It was Lee Jackson Dev, Agency Trailblazer, WP Innovator. Any of those, you'll find him. But no, in his group, which is still Innovator, there was some guy just said they used this email, and I thought it was lovely. They said, "We're just letting you know that your account's outstanding. We don't want yours to go in because we're sending a load of accounts to the debt collectors at the moment, and want to make sure that yours is not going to be included in that. So if you could pay us today, that would be nice."
Now you see, I could react to that because that's don't you think that's a bit inflammatory? I don't know. I think that's quite ballsy.
Well, I think the idea is that you send them a nice letter saying that you don't want them to be included in the others that you're sending to the debt. The problem is it's probably a lie, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And if you don't back it up, the next time you've got to send that exact same email, you've used up all of your arsenal of tricks, haven't you? You've got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, yeah. I've never had to employ a lawyer or anything like that. Actually, a few times I've just written off a certain invoice, never a substantial one, but £100 here and £100 there, because I see the value in the ongoing relationship is better than fighting about this one invoice that for some reason has got stuck in the system. I've done that a couple of times, and you just make a decision, don't you? This is the way I've got to do it, because if we're going to fight about this invoice, they claim I didn't do the work. I know I did do the work. It's he said, she said. Better off just ignore it and move on. And I've definitely done that a couple of times. Removed invoices or reduced invoices just to calm the storm, because I know that the lifetime value of the client is far in excess of that little trifling argument.
Yes, exactly. I would do that as well. Actually, we've gone off on one area, which is because of my problem. But there is a whole other client's right, and that's when you're doing the design bit.
Oof.
I mean, that's I mean, I used to get a bit more precious about that, and I'm not now. I've got over that. But, when somebody wanted a slider, and I really wanted to argue that they shouldn't have this homepage slider that had nothing relevant, yeah, I would really kind of argue my point for some time. But I've got really calm now about that. I don't know have you changed over the time, or have you always been calm?
I don't really know. I'm certain. Yeah, I've never lost the plot when a client has suggested anything. I try to persuade them, and I am not the world's best designer, so I'm quite happy if they're very strongly opinionated and they want something, because in this case it is a commodity that they're paying for, and I can provide it even if I think it's the wrong decision. I've sometimes been a bit more flexible, again, just for the easy life of getting to the end of the project without falling out. And sometimes you can just sense in the way that they speak, and very often these conversations are actually face to face. I'm in their office, or it's on the phone or on Skype or something, and you can tell that they're really wedded to the idea. So although sliders is not one that I've really had a discussion with, let's take that as an example. If they constantly say, no, I really want one of those. No, I think, yeah, well, okay, you're buying it, and I can do it. I don't agree with it. It doesn't serve any benefit. Then that's fine. But I guess with all these things, you have to make your case. It's going to be better if we don't do it, because we can put this content here in its place, and that's proven to be more of a converting tool than your slider, or it's got an SEO benefit or whatever. And I think if you've laid that stuff out and they still want to ignore you, so long as they understand you've done your job and move on, because it's not my website, it is their website. But things where let's say it's more about payments and things like that, then I'm going to dig my feet in, because that actually matters to me. But if it's a design thing, I'm happy to have the discussion and then back off, really.
Yeah, well, I used to get a little bit. I still do. I mean, I still try and make my case a bit. In fact, I was doing it before we got on this call. I was sending another video, trying to persuade, I guess, certain direction for layout and copy and stuff as well. Because, if you spend a bit of time, as I've done, reading the copy hackers books and that kind of stuff and learning about that, it's really difficult, isn't it, when you've got somebody in an office who's just putting together their copy, never done anything like that. They've only used Word, that's all they've needed. And it's hard not to get invested in it, because you want their site to be better. And also you want it to be one that you can possibly show off at some point yourself as being involved with.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really taken that as a cue for me to dig my heels in. But yeah, if you want to have a portfolio of great sites and they really have made an absolute train wreck of it, then yeah, maybe. I suppose those kind of decisions, because usually it's just me talking to them, and very often that's one-on-one, I'm quite happy to back down. But excuse me, sorry, I've never been in a position where the client is asking something so outlandish that it's going to destroy it. Usually it's a design difference or something that I don't agree is a good idea. It might be a palette change or something like that, or a font or a position or whatever, and it's not the end of the world. But if it was really catastrophically bad, I think I would have to think about that a little bit more carefully, and maybe employ some usability testing or something at that point, and ask them, look, would you mind if we get a pair of neutral eyes on this, because we don't seem to be reaching a resolution. Of course, the other side of this is, me as a paying customer, a little bit like you said earlier, with you being quite willing to send out snotty emails and staying in the office at night, I would probably think it was a little bit out of scope for somebody that I was paying for a service to tell me what to do. Perhaps, I've just had a load of building work done, and I was absolutely happy for them to make every single decision. They would consult me and say, is this all right? And invariably I'd say, well, yeah, okay, you know what you're doing. But if it's something like a web design where everybody is constantly on the web, and I mean, we really are, all of us, constantly on the web, we probably do have opinions on things, and there's certain things that we have seen that we like. So the clients have that in their head, and I can understand it. And it's like you said earlier, it's trying to get into their shoes and understand, well, they've got this prejudice, they've got this predilection, they want it to be like this. And the best that you can do, I think, is just coach and see how it goes.
You know what? I think probably you may not have suffered it as much because I think you're quite calm anyway with these kind of things. And I think what I've noticed is that I don't have these issues. Actually, most of the sites that I've just done recently, I mean, they're not perfect because they're kind of rush jobs, lower budget jobs, but they've gone pretty well, and they've accepted almost every suggestion I've put forward this time. And maybe it's because I don't care so much about them that I'm coming across in a better way.
Yeah, yeah.
A little bit more dispassionate, maybe, is what's happening.
The only times where I can think that I've sort of dug my heels in a little bit is where the client has asked something that it's out of scope in terms of the capabilities that have been designed in the brief, you know. So suddenly they'll come back and say, well, we need a booking system or something like that. And that's I have dug my heels in about those kind of things because that I guess you'd call that scope creep. And when that happens, I'm very clear. I just sort of say, no, that will have to wait. We can do that. Absolutely, we can do that, but we'll get this bit finished and then we'll take that on as a new project in the future. But some clients can get a bit snotty at that point, you know, and then they're not right. They're absolutely not right. It wasn't in the document or the contract that they signed. So I guess having a good contract is a solution for a lot of this stuff. And speaking of contracts, you mentioned before we started this call something which I don't think fits too well with either of us, and we have to be a bit careful about the language. But you've spotted some YouTube videos, haven't you?
Yeah, Mike. Well, there's one that goes around the Facebook groups every so often, and it's Mike Montero, and I'll have to abbreviate to FU. Yeah. Pay me. It's the video. So if you Google that or look on YouTube, you'll find it definitely. I'll give you the link, Nathan, because I've got it here. Okay. But that video, you've seen it, I've seen it, and it's it's very much. He's making a very good point about just made about contracts and getting those right. But it's just the whole approach is so scary. I couldn't, I just couldn't approach the look of I don't know, the business like that. It's very much about he's about wanting to nail everything down. So everybody's going to have to take that time if you're going to work for them, and they're definitely going to have to pay on time if you're going to work with me. Yeah. But I think what scares me about that is the sort of whooping and howling, in the crowd about that. And I just think, wow, it's so the opposite of the customer is always right, isn't it? It really the whole tone is.
I think if maybe he's significantly important enough in what he does. I don't really know him or his stuff, but maybe he's significant in that he can charge a lot of money, and he's got a great big list of people wanting to work with him. So he can be a little bit more adversarial and a bit more FU. It's my stuff. Pay me or I'm gone. It's my way or the highway.
I think he's a lawyer, isn't he? Advising other people,
right?
On how they should deal with these setups. How you should deal with things as a business.
Yeah, well, that's lovely if it works. The only problem in my setup is that, for a start, I'm not important enough that people couldn't just find somebody else to do it. So I've got to be careful about that. And when you've got a client, that stuff is hard won. So building up the relationship, and sometimes doing more than you've said that you'll do, or being a little bit kinder, or writing nice emails instead of grotty emails, and returning bitterness with kindness can pay dividends. And I think I would far rather be that person. I've never ever seen an email exchange where both sides getting more and more irritable works out well. It just doesn't resolve itself. The only way that resolves itself is one of you steps away, or one of you calms it down. Getting more and more heated and starting to write snotty emails to your client because they've annoyed you, it's not going to work, is it? That's my opinion. Anyway.
It always, yeah, absolutely. It always ends with that's what Hitler would have said.
Yeah, well, something inflammatory like that. And I can think of a lot of people, actually, not just in the world of web development, just in my life, who have that approach. You know, if somebody does something wrong, even accidentally wrong, it's time to phone them up and tell them off and get the compensation and all of this kind of stuff. Whereas I think a slightly better approach is just to write an explanation, you know, say what's gone on, see what comes back, wait on it for 24 hours, see if you can calm it down, offer to fix it if it's within your realm, and not always be stuck to the contract as if it's the nirvana of what we're trying to do. Yes. If you're an agency, I'm sure these things matter far more. But for me, the freelancer, I can cope with a bit of that, and I can take some of that stuff on the chin, and deal with it in my own way, and come back and try to fix it. But as always, there'll be lines in the sand. But I'm not really experienced anything too major.
Yeah, I think this seems to be our little motto really at the moment. Is, and we're all, when we did that magic email chat, we came to the conclusion that you could probably have the same effect by doing the opposite, which was to be ultra nice to somebody, uncharacteristically nice to somebody. And so I think that's it. We're all lovey here, aren't we? We've gone very lovey.
Yeah,
we love everybody.
Well, that's
everybody's always right.
Certainly not the case. No. I would hate for this to end with me giving the impression that I think the client is always right, because I don't really think that. I think you're more in that camp than I am. I think they definitely do things wrong, and I think we ought to explain it. But I can't see the point in reacting, let's say, to an angry email with more anger. That's only going to go south. Best to sit on it for a bit, try and work out a formulated response. Say sorry if you've mucked something up. Say sorry if you've missed a deadline. Explain it. But if it's their fault, I guess kindly explain why you can't do what they're trying to do. And I think most people will cope with that fairly well.
Yeah, it's no longer an issue for me, and I think that's age to, you know, when I've cocked up, to say I've cocked up, and it's no longer an issue for me to, as both of us are like this one, are we? We don't need to prove our professionality. We're quite happy to sort of say we just don't know stuff, and we'll probably never learn it.
Yeah, and do you know what? That was a big moment for me. I think to some extent I still suffer from this. The notion of being in a room with a client and them asking you questions and having the capacity to say, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. That can be really difficult because you're supposed to be the authority. And there are times when I've said it and I was really surprised that the reaction was, okay. And I'll say something like, okay, I'll go away and I'll try and find out. I'm not sure quite how to do that. And the reaction was exactly what you'd hope for. You know, okay, that's fine. Nobody's freaking out because you don't have the answer to everything. And that was a real moment for me.
Yeah, but I think it's because you forget how much you do know and how much they realise that you do know a lot of stuff. So you can't know everything. So I guess they're realistic, yeah.
Did you ever suffer from that, though? The inability to say, I don't know, and just sort of bluff your way through things?
Yeah, of course. I just bluff like everybody. I think, it took me, I think probably by my late 30s, I really dropped all pretension then. And it just became me. I know what I know, and that's it. Yeah.
I watch quite a lot of webinars, and on quite a lot of these webinars, I'm really quite surprised and delighted when I see, let's say, for example, it's a SaaS app that somebody's trying to sell. Very often the people in the webinar will just say, I don't know how to do that, but I'll find out. And I always think, oh, that's great. That's the reaction I want. I don't want you to just give us some lie. And I see that more and more. And I don't know if I'm seeing it because people are becoming more honest, or if I'm just noticing it and tucking that away in my brain as you seem like the kind of person that I can trust, because rather than take the direction of fluffing it for a bit and pretending like you've just absolutely admitted, and that makes me trust you.
It's humanizing, though, isn't it? I think it brings us back to our topic still. Again, if we adopt the basic principle that the client's always right in our kind of hearts and try and look from their perspective, I think we start to. It's a lot easier to see them as humans and us as humans, and get over the little issues that we have, the little notches, the things that go wrong.
Yep.
And I think we're going the other way in our industry a little bit. I think we talk too freely about firing clients and that kind of stuff. I think it's not a good thing.
No, we seem to have a sort of culture emerging of celebrating the sacking of a client, where in reality I think that's only a bad thing. I mean, obviously some people are, they really are tiresome and it makes life very difficult, but it's not good to be having to sack people. It would have been nice, ultimately nice, although perhaps somewhat impossible, to resolve those things and keep them as customers. I agree with that. Yeah, it's a peculiar new trait, isn't it?
We celebrate the freedom that this person has from headaches, but in a way, it seems to. I don't know. I sometimes think if I was coming new to this, and I still feel like I am new, but if I was coming new to it and looking up to people with talking to sacking the clients, I just think it might set me down the wrong path in my behaviour towards clients.
Yeah. The idea that you're right. Any problems, sack the client. No, really, you want to keep the client as long as possible because it's all money at the end of the day, right? Are we done?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
In which case, the usual spiel at the end. Thank you for listening to this. It's been a pleasure having you. Go over to wpbuilds.com. On there, you'll find a navigation menu at the top, including links like deals and webinars and subscribe and so on and so forth. Go and click on those. Join us on iTunes. You can join us on all the major platforms. I think we've got them all covered. And very, very happy if anybody wants to give us a review on iTunes. That would be really, really welcome. We haven't had one for a little while. He said, sob, sob, weep, weep. But yeah, it only remains to say thanks for listening. And I have been Nathan Wrigley.
And I've been David Wamsey. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for listening to the WP Builds podcast. I hope you enjoyed David and I chatting about clients like that. Really enjoyed doing that one. It's nice to get some of that anger out and also to calm down a little bit as well. This episode of the WP Builds podcast is sponsored by the Project Huddle WordPress plugin. Are you still using email for client feedback? Well, there's a better way. With Project Huddle, client feedback has never been easier. Point, click, and type interactive comments right on top of any website. Delegate, manage, and resolve issues with your team. Get quick, clear approval from your clients, and white label it to look like a pro. For 20% off, visit projecthuddle.io/WP Builds. And we really do sincerely thank our sponsors for helping us put together WP Builds each and every week. Speaking of putting together WP Builds, there'll be a news episode coming out on Monday. So if you fancy listening all about the WordPress news, check that out. If not, if you don't want to listen to that, we will see you next week for the podcast next Thursday. It only remains for me to fade in the cheesy music and say bye-bye for now.